Yep. I want to thank everyone for coming here today, just for us to have availability, just to talk about where we are as an organization. Right now that, as of today, the plan that we originally was approved by the Department of Education will be the one that we will implement. As you know, that the board had elected to make an amendment to the original plan related to pause and delay our plan for 4 weeks. In this process, I submitted a letter to the Department of Education articulating the pause, identifying where the board, used informed decision by using, medical practitioners' information in order to make a decision that protects this entire community. In that side, the Department of Education sent back identifying that this does not, the amendment does not emerge and align with the original plan that we submitted, nor does it align with the emergency order. Therefore, we got in the car on Tuesday, drove up to Tallahassee, me and Mr. McCauley, to really sit down with the Department of Education and truly talk through the process in the state of Hillsborough County related to the positivity rate, related to the medical practitioner stance, and also to articulate where we are as a local decision, as our board made an informed decision to create the delay. In those conversations, we it's a collaborative conversation that talked about having a phased-in approach. In that, we presented models that would take the 4 weeks and phase in from having the first week start as August the 24th to be able to start everyone in e-learning. The next week, we would ask for students who are homeless, students who are migrant students, and students who need specialized services to return. And then the following week, on September the 7th, the proposal was to bring the transformational network. Those are all of our students, our schools that are underperforming, along with the lowest 300 elementary schools. And then on the 14th would be bring back every one of our students that have selected choice related to the brick and mortar, and then continue the e-learning process along with virtual learning as well. Learned that night that proposal was not going to be aligned with the emergency order. Therefore, me and my team, we compressed it. We rolled out to a 3-week pause and took the transformation network along with the lowest 300 and put them in the second week related to, we would start on the 24th for e-learning. We would transition to the 31st to be able to address the students that needed us the most within our community. And then we would open up holistically on the 7th, which would be the 8th September, in order to have a slow rollout to further help the community spread in Hillsborough County. Openly, that was through conversation, once again, didn't align with the original plan nor the emergency order. Therefore, the plan that will be approved, that we will have to follow the original plan stating that on the 24th of August, we will be opening up our doors for e-learning for every one of our students. And then on the 31st, we will bring back the choice option for everyone within our community. We know that we do see some downward trends within our community, and that's because everyone's doing a really nice job with taking care of their face coverings and being mindful with social distancing. And we hope that to continue to be a pattern within our organization. So overall, this is where we are. The new plan sits that we will be opening on the 24th once again for e-learning, 1 week to be called the Smart Start Week. And this is going to be a week where we are going to focus on making connections with our students, making connections with our families, having an introductory about expectations for the school year, looking at acquiring resources, looking at setting expectations, identifying mental health and wellness overall of our community, and then transitioning to what curriculum interactions that our community will have along the way. So this Start Smart Week, we will be taking attendance. For those of our, for the 24th as we start, is it going to be an expectation that every one of our learners are going to be signing in with their schedule so that we can capture their attendance every day and be able to address any potential auditing purposes for at the end of the year. We know that children in this process, and as we launch, especially on the 31st, and we start the wave of e-learning, we know that a number of our students are going to need devices. And the good thing is that we had, we gave out close to 40,000 devices to the students and families in need who elected to transition to e-learning. And as we come back, we will be in the next week be working with our communities to be able to have another distribution poll to be able to give out the necessary devices for families in need. And I will say this: if you have tablets, if you have computers, please use those. Right now it's in for us to be able to get mobile devices. While we have around 65,000+ devices that we can extend to our students. We know that we need to make certain we're giving them to the students who are most in need. So if you have devices, we encourage you to use those. We know that it's very difficult to get the mobile devices. We've been planning for this entire process. But you got to understand, when I got here, we had 28,000 functional mobile devices for 220,000 students. So been using a lot of the grant funding and internal funding to be able to address the digital divide. And in addition to that, we know we gave out thousands of hotspots to those who may have connectivity issues. And we're really thankful for HEF and what their partnership they have done for us. We will continue to grow that and be able to address any one of our learners who may improve that may meet that need overall. So overall, as we transition, we know the biggest thing that we want to make certain that where we are is that we are mitigating the risk for our students for our students and employees to be exposed to this type of virus. So we want to make certain we're going to be cleaning along the way. We're going to clean high touch points. We're going to make certain that we have sanitation stations. And I know teachers, if you're watching, we're going to be bringing additional materials to your classrooms. We're going to have sanitation, hand dispensers in the common areas. We're going to be doing deep clean wipes. We're going to be moving custodial staff members, from the evening shift, one or more, based on the need and the structure of the school, to the beginning of the day, to be able to make certain we have all hands on deck. We want to make sure we over clean within our restrooms and also in our common areas to be able to give our students and our employees a sense of comfort. So we will be taking additional assistance. There will be we have rapid response teams ready to go. And let me be very clear and very honest. We are going to have to shut down particular classrooms. We're going to have to shut down wings. We're going to have to shut down common areas. And that means while we create choice in that process, we're going to, there may be availability where we have to self-isolate or self-quarantine in that process. So I just want to be very clear that this may be a very fluid situation. But we strongly believe that, and through the emergency order, that which creates and mandates that we offer choice to every one of our constituents who aspire to come back to our schools. And we will be there to serve them the same way we will be able to serve every one of our students that are elected to be in a remote manner. Also, transportation. We're going to be sending out in the next week our transportation protocols and routes of what we expect. Once again, no one will be able to get on and arrive and join our buses without having a face covering along the way. If they do not have them, we will hand them a disposable one. But once again, we will continue to be able to clean in between drop-offs and and intakes before we take different cohorts of students into our schools. And so we will have those routes available for our parents, and we will continue to run those routes that make sense, and to be able to get our children to and from school in a safe manner. The other question is that, a lot of questions that I've received about what we're going to do for grab-and-go meals. And, we will have a number of our students that are qualified for free and reduced lunch during the grab-and-go process. So we are going to offer grab-and-go meals at our schools, and this will be between breakfast and lunch at the school, so staff can address the students who are in brick and mortar. But families will have the option, if they're free and reduced lunch, to come to our campuses and be able to pick up grab-and-go meals. And that information will be forthcoming this week as well, in order to address any divide that we may have within our community. And we want to make sure that we are consistent in that process. In addition to that, if we have families that feel that they want to transition to school and purchase a lunch, we'll have that availability as well in that window, because we know that the prices that we charge may be better financially to be able to help that learner have the necessary nutritious meals along the way. And then overall, we want to make certain that our parents are truly connected to Canvas. I sent out a family guide. Please make certain that you familiarize yourself with what we're offering with Canvas. This is going to be our learner management platform that's going to gain access to every one of our contents, your interaction with our teachers, to be able to review grades, and to have that one-stop shop where lessons are going to be housed and hubbed. in order to have that connectivity. So, you know, parents related to where we are with scheduling, you know this has been very fluid. We're coming to school, we're not coming to school. We have teachers that have hardships that we want to protect and make certain that where possible, we put them in locations to help them. So those schedules are being finalized now. As soon as you know, the schools independently will be finalizing their overall master schedules, and it will take 48 hours for that information to flip over, and you should start seeing schedules released to your families sometime by end of next week, so you know what your learner will be transitioning through. So the other thing is, as we talk about COVID and how the interactions with our school, there's many steps that we're going to take related to isolation and quarantine. I'm going to have Mrs. Brown come up. Ms. Brown is our Chief of Climate and Culture, who's been working very diligently with the Department of Health, along with our TGH USF Health partners. They've been at the table to help us with this process. But understand, when we talk about contact tracing, we're talking about, you know, quarantine students in isolation. This is solely with recommended efforts and expectations from the Department of Health. And I'll let her speak to some of the protocols that we're going to take place to be able to have a better snapshot of where we are as an organization and how this is going to be somewhat fluid internally and externally as our children come to school, and potentially if they're exposed with a positive case, we'll transition them back to an e-learning for a short period of time prior to them transitioning back to us as an organization. Ms. Brown.
Thank you. Good afternoon. We're working diligently to ensure that when we have someone that's identified as a positive case of COVID, that we follow clear procedures and protocols. And the first thing we'd like for each person to do, if they are identified or notified that they have a positive COVID result, they are to contact their principal. Whether it be a student or employee, they are to contact the principal. The principal immediately will contact the COVID commander as well as the regional superintendent. Our COVID commander is a centralized position, a centralized person that's managing and coordinating all of our efforts. This person will contact our supervisor of school health services, who then works very closely with the Department of Health. The COVID commander also communicates with our communications chief, who works with our superintendent to keep everyone informed, including notification to all those that are impacted, whether it be those who are directly in contact with someone who's tested positive, or just to notify the families that are a part of our school body. We also work closely. She will contact our Director of Safety and Risk Management, Mr. Culpepper, who is an instrumental part of this process because he ensures that the space is cleaned and sanitized appropriately. I would like to emphasize a couple of things. There's a 2-day cycle and there's a 14-day cycle, and it's important to know the difference. For us, if someone tests positive, it's a 10-day cycle. For those who are asymptomatic, it's 10 days from the time that the results are received. From the time that the test is given. It is 10 days with 24 hours of no fever and improved symptoms without medication before return to school or return to work. 14 days is for self-quarantine. That was self-isolation for a positive. 14 days is for self-quarantine. And the self-quarantine is when someone has had direct contact with someone who has tested positive. There are 3 factors that we consider. 1, were there face coverings by the people who were interacting? 2, were there the 6 feet distance between those who were interacting? And what's also important is beyond the face covering, the distance is the amount of time that was spent. We encourage, based on guidance from the Department of Health, to limit the amount of interaction, and that means we're working toward less than 15 minutes. Those are 3 important factors as we're determining the risk level of someone who's been exposed. Once someone has been exposed, they are self-quarantined for 14 days. The return is based on the last point of contact, 14 days from the last point of contact with that positive person. It's important to us that we communicate this to our families. It's important to us that our staff understands this, and it's important to the community to know how hard we're working to ensure that our kids and our staff, when they return to school, that they are safe. We will continue to provide answers to the questions. We have ongoing updates to our FAQs. But something that's important to note also is that there's always changes. Anyone that has been working in this area knows that changes come. As they come, we adjust. We make those adjustments to ensure that we are providing everyone the latest information and we're following the most important guidance, the most recent guidance. So as we work to make school a safe place for our students and our staff, we will continue to collaborate and work closely with the Department of Health. When we're making decisions about contact tracing and who's been in contact, this is where information is critical. We track the movement of our students. We will track the movements of our staff, which means we will need to know which buses are this particular student, if they are positive, which bus they were on. We will need to know whether or not they're participating in extracurricular activities. We will need to know whether or not they are participating in dual enrollment. We'll need to know their class schedule. We'll need to know their lunch schedule, because we will need to not only clean those spaces, but more importantly, we will need to contact those people that were in those spaces when they were there. So contact tracing is critical. The school district will work diligently to provide that information to the Department of Health, who will then take the lead on next steps. So with that, anything that we do, we want to be as transparent as possible and make sure that the information is provided as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Terry Connor, Deputy Superintendent of Instruction. I just want to spend a little time and kind of talk about and share with you what the experience of a student is going to be like during Smart Start Week. As you know, as the superintendent has expressed, that the first week, August 24th through the 28th, we will be all e-learning. After that, on the 31st, students will be then transitioning if they elected to come back brick and mortar on the 31st. So what does Smart Start Week look like? Students will be engaging online with their students through Canvas with their teachers. And I want to make it very clear that attendance is not optional. It's mandatory. This is the first day of school, August 24th. So please, parents, make sure that you're making every attempt to have your students engage with their teachers, that they're online. What will happen throughout the week is that the students will engage through Canvas. They will be live conferencing, web conferencing with their teachers. They will be taking attendance through Canvas and through their Zoom or web conferencing technology. They'll be completing assignments. They'll be engaging and connecting with other peers. They'll be talking with their teachers. We also understand that students have experienced a lot through the last 6 months, since March when we closed. And so guidance counselors and school psychologists and social workers will be connecting with students. We'll be out there engaging with our families to make sure that we have a successful 2020-21 school year. So I just want to give that experience that throughout this week, we're making those connections. We're engaging in a lot of the new resources and technology that are very brand new for our teachers. They've spent all summer training, and they're ready and excited about engaging our students with the new technology that's available. We also have several curriculum resources that are new to us, and our teachers have also been trained thoroughly over the summer and are ready to engage our students on those resources as well. So it's all about attendance, it's engaging, it's reconnecting, it's all about high quality learning this week, and we're all doing it through an e-learning platform, and we're excited about the opportunity.
All right, and as we said before, you know, this decision wasn't taken lightly. We worked to try to come to a part where we have somewhat of an agreement and compromise. And as you see, Palm Beach, Palm Beach, they have adjusted their plan as well in order to comply with the emergency order, because openly, it's a lot of money, over $200 million that we could potentially lose in this organization, and that would openly bankrupt this organization. And as the leader, it's just it's something that while I want to fight for this community, that's a lot of money, and this is and we talk about money. The bulk of our money is linked to personnel. Being one of the largest employers in let's just say in Florida, with close to 25,000 employees, if we would have to take a significant impact and hit financially, that's connected to employees, and we are a people business. So we want to protect every one of our employees as much and often as we can, and this is where we are related to our reopening. So at this time, I'll take questions. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Sokol, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
This is for Tracy Brown. You described a very extensive routine of contact tracing if a child or a teacher has COVID, and you're going to be working with the Department of Health. Are you satisfied that the Department of Health has the manpower, has the resources you're going to need? Because it could be a lot of cases. We hope it's not, but it might.
Well, what I know is that the Department of Health is hiring teams to support the school district specifically.
Okay.
There will be 8 teams that are hired specifically to support contact tracing with Hillsborough County Public Schools. We have a weekly call, and we actually interact on an ongoing basis, but a scheduled weekly call that we have so that we can stay in constant contact around what's happening in Hillsborough County Public Schools and get the support that we need and the guidance that we need from them. So we are working closely with them. They are staffing up to support us as we open up our school year.
I just have one more. I don't want to monopolize, but this one's for Mr.
Okay.
Davis. So
I'm
if
coming to
there's
you.
a COVID case, and again, hoping the numbers continue to
Yes,
drop,
ma'am.
but if there are COVID cases,
Right.
and so what you all described is a series of steps where you will notify people directly affected.
That's correct.
And people indirectly affected, for example, everyone at
Yes,
the
ma'am.
school. Can you commit to transparency? And we've asked all of our other school districts, and they've all said yes, that also the public, meaning people who cover the news, will be notified as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll work through our legal department to make sure that we get sound decision making related to what we can and cannot release. But you know, I've been open with a number of cases that we've had since March. So
Yeah, I'm speaking specifically the parent link notices. If a letter goes out to everybody at Plant High,
right.
so just the same level of disclosure
Sure.
that you're going to give to that school community.
Yeah, that community will be informed without a doubt.
And we can be copied on, or we can request those notices and get them in a timely manner.
You'll work through Tanya, absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Davis, are you disappointed with state leaders? Do you feel as though this district was forced to make the plan that you presented today?
You know, it's very hard. You know, I'm disappointed in the way that in the fact that I couldn't bring this community back. You know, somewhat of a compromise, because you got to think about it. You have half the community that wants to come to brick and mortar, and I agree we should probably provide that opportunity to our learners, and we got half the community that wants to transition to e-learning. So being able to take the compromise between where the Department of Education is related to their emergency order and related to where the board aspired to be at that particular amendment, you know, I was trying to hope to bring something in the middle that would be comparable. But at the end of the day, the decision is kind of where we are with our pre-approved plan, and we're going to work. We need the Department of Education to be a partner in this work along the way. They were really respectful during this process, but to them and their point, they didn't want to have inconsistencies with plans across the state. And as a professional, I understand that. But you know, still, it's my job to take the wishes of where we are and what the amendment was proposed, and truly drive that to be able to come to a place where we are both comfortable.
Mr. Davis, you've had parents and teachers
You're next.
that have kind of been in limbo throughout this whole entire time. You know, trying
Yeah.
to figure out how are they going to plan for this year, whether you're a teacher who's going to do e-learning or you're going
Yeah.
to have to go back to
Right.
school, or a parent who's going to have to get a device for their child because they have to do the e-learning, which
Right.
they will now have
Yep.
to. What would you say to them, because they've been frustrated throughout this whole thing, trying to figure out what to do this year?
Yeah, so everyone's been frustrated. Let's just be very clear, whether it's been a parent, community members, whether it be students, whether it be school-based leaders, district-based leaders, and let's be open. And we work hand to hand with CTA. We've all been trying to roll up our sleeves to fix this, and they've been really good partners in that work. And you know, I just tell them that this is our plan. We're going to help you along the way. We know there are going to be bumps in the road. We know there are going to be barriers, not only here but throughout the state, but throughout the nation. So you know, just stay with us. Continue to apprise us of what you know is keeping them up at night. What barriers they may be experiencing. So me and this team can step up and continue to help them. We're here for children, and we know that, but we're also here to protect the working conditions of our adults. So we got to merge that together to be able to be super successful along the way. We do know, we've got to get to a point where we're getting back to somewhat of to normalcy, and to be able to educate children in need. We have students that are, whether they're English language learners, migrant students, whether homeless students. We have students who are 1 or more years behind. We have students in underperforming schools, students with disabilities. They need us. They need the interaction. They need us to protect them. They need us to be able to educate them and help them be successful. In the plan, ultimately, and I've said this from day one, the plan does create that choice and that model. But now as an organization, we just have to lock arms. We have to stick together. This is our stance. This is our plan. This is what has been approved, and we've got to forge forward along the way and be successful. Yes, ma'am.
The board voted last week to
Yep.
delay this implementation of the plan and go a different route. How did the district decide to come to this conclusion without going in front of the board again for a vote?
Yeah, so through legal counsel and conversations, the big piece is that the original plan was approved by the board for us to implement the 3 phases, and that was approved by the Department of Education. And then the board came back and made a really informed decision based on medical practitioners, and they made a hard decision, and they made one for the overall health of the community. And they made a amendment to delay our plan that was originally identified by the state. I sent a documentation to the Department of Education identifying the wishes of the delay. The department then, that was on Friday morning, I believe, the department sent something back Friday evening, and in that conversation and in that letter and communication, it says that you can't, you got 3 options. You either implement your current plan, you modify your plan, which aligns with the emergency order, or you take yourself out of the FEFP process, which means we would lose could potentially lose, up close to $200 million. So through that process, when they rejected the amendment through council, it says we revert back to our original implementation plan, hence the reason no need for us to call a meeting. So, and at this time, let's just be clear, our community needs to know where we are. They need to know what we're doing, what the plan is, what's approved. So I've had conversations with our board members about where we are over the last 24 hours. Recently I didn't get the overall, I would say, rejection until 6:02 last evening, 6:02 p.m. last evening, and started having multiple conversations with board members, and also through this morning to even let them know that I will be making available, where we are from a organizational perspective, and how I'll make myself available to anyone today.
And just to be clear, so we are now reverting back to students who made that choice on the original declaration of intent. That's what they're going to be going with?
That's correct.
And do they have an option, Karen, in the next week to change their choice?
We'll look at that. It's a good question. Now I would look and, I'll get with communication. We'll give a window, a very short window. We've got master schedules that are being built right now. So parents, if you're watching, look for something to come out related to the Declaration of Intent. We hope that majority will stay stagnant of where they are. We know that a large percentage still haven't. Well, I say that we've done a really nice job with over close to 86% of our students and 220,000 students that have identified where they're going to be. I think that's significant and probably the most that I've seen throughout the state. But we'll communicate with parents about what their options may be. And we get it. We got some parents that are waiting to the start of school just to see where we are. We got some parents that are ready to come back yesterday. And so overall, we stand ready to embrace the choice process. And, we wish we could have had somewhat of a different outcome, but openly we didn't. And, I shared those proposals to the entire organization and what we presented. And unfortunately, it wasn't ones that were accepted and aligned with our original plan. Therefore, hence the model that we are rolling out.
Do teachers get the same option? Like, will they get to possibly change their intent if they want to after knowing this?
Right now, this is, teachers have already, they've made their intent. So we're moving forward with scheduling process. If there's hardships along the way, we'll work with them independently, individually, like we've always continued to do. Yes, sir.
I just received a picture from an Alonzo High School teacher. He has one pack of alcohol surface wipes. Are they going to be well supplied with?
Yeah, Mr. Farkas, we're going to come speak. Speak to this. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Oh, there, come on, mask.
It's clear. We have thousands upon thousands of wipes. Part of it's inventory control. Some of these things that we have and have been able to acquire, our superintendents directed us to make sure we have those materials. So we have a stockpile of those materials. But we wanted to have inventory control. I mean, we didn't want to take a pallet out of all the wipes and those somehow get legs and walk. So the reality is, yes, we have those. In fact, this week, today including, they're going to see more and more deliveries on that part of it too. But yes, we have those. We have a warehouse with those in those. For instance, if many of the teachers got a small hand sanitizer. We have gallon hand sanitizers that are going out for students' return. But we didn't feel like that was, the necessity was that they were out there, they had hand sanitizer when they returned to school. But before students return on the 31st, we'll make sure that every single classroom will have a gallon hand sanitizer in there. We'll have the masks they need, we'll have the wipes they need, with replenishments coming. I mean, the reality is 220,000 has been referenced. That's a lot of kids. And in secondary schools, they're changing 7 classes a day. So the number of wipes it's a large number. So we've geared up for that. We have many different vendors that are on call so that we know when we have to replenish. We couldn't even do it for the year. We couldn't put them in one warehouse. We'd have to do multiple warehouses. So the reality is, yes, we have them. Yes, they're here, and we will replenish as we go. But we just wanted to ensure when teachers returned, they had hand sanitizer, they had wipes.
And to be clear, we're spending close to $7 to $9 million a month on PPE. With wipes, hand sanitizers, masks. Every teacher is going to get masks, have gotten masks along with our students. So it's a lot of money that we're spending, and we're going to figure out where that funding comes from. I know we have some grant availabilities, and the ESSER grants coming that was around $54 million, but we spent around 25 to 26 on, starting in March, and then being able to use the rest to be able to somewhat band-aid to get us to a little portion of it. But I conveyed that to the Department of Education related to, this is a lot of money, and this is going to really hurt. And I know, and we appreciate funding, but in the long run, if there's not a vaccine soon, this could continue to grow legs related to the financial cost overall as an organization, and it will hurt a lot of educational organizations financially in their reserve.
If there's a spike in infections in the county and you see the community spread is growing, is there a plan in place for learning? Will they have to revert for e-learning, and will schools then have to be closed? When do we get to that point?
Yeah, so we're going to watch. It's going to be a school-by-school basis. We're going to watch our independent schools and see what potential outbreaks may be, if it's significant, whether or not it's one classroom, whether it's 11 classrooms, whether it's one teacher versus 8 teachers or employees. And we'll make an individual school determination. One thing we will not be closing down the organization at scale unless the governor comes out and makes that clear. And as you can see, that's not the case. That means that we may have schools that are up and down, one that may be down potentially to the coronavirus, but you'll see the remainder 249 schools will be fluent if they're not impacted in any way, shape, or form.
Sir, how overwhelming has this been for you and for the staff?
Put it this way: I've been here for 5 months. I've yet to watch TV, and I say that jokingly. That's true, but then again, that's who I'm. This team's built to work. It's like 4 tough. We're ready to go, and we're going to grind every single day. And I'll be honest with you, it's 20 hours a day. This team is working relentlessly. I know they're tired of my emails, my conversations, been calling them at 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever it may be. But you know what? It's our job to work relentlessly for every learner and every employee with this organization. And I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for teachers. I'm thankful for our staff, our district staff. I'm thankful for our school board. And I'm thankful for our community being patient in this process. But this is it's been interesting. It's been fun. When I came 5 months ago, when I signed in January, never knew that we would be in this particular situation. But I will say this: I become a better educator. I become a better, a better husband, better father, learning of how to protect everyone, and a better leader in this organization.
When we go to brick and mortar, will kids be able to properly social distance within the classroom? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
How many kids
Yeah. So I've said before, in education, social distancing doesn't exist. And if someone's telling you they're going to be able to do it effectively every single day, it's going to be hard to do. We're going to do our best. We're modifying our classrooms. Teachers are trying to set up for proper interaction. We're looking at modified ways of how we intake and dismiss children. We're looking at common areas, how they interact. We're looking at controlled movements. But it's going to be difficult to do. We're going to do our best and along the way. And listen, we've got some really special teachers that are creative every single day. And they're going to do everything they can to protect our children. So my heart and hat goes off to them, and I look forward to meeting them, greeting them, and doing what I do best. You know, I move and improve student cultures and student performances and build the capacity of leaders and teachers and educators. That's what I want to get back to. But we want to do it in a safe manner. So, you know, thank you for today. And know this, that, you know, this board, it truly and genuinely cares about every pocket and every facet of our community. They've worked hard. They have a lot on their shoulders. It's been hard and heavy on their hearts. And, you know, some have made really stern stances, and some have been really made, you know, stances that they've seen that with different advice, they may have made adjustments. But they've all made decisions on the, you know, in the best interest at that time with our learners. It'd be very difficult to sit in front of Tampa is best. The best from Tampa General Hospital, the best from USF Health, and listen to them and tell them about where we are as a community and what they can do from an impact, you know, from an impact organizationally, and say no. It's very hard. You know, what I'm thankful for is they didn't ask Addison Davis that day, and because I've been the champion of the emergency order from day one, and it had been very hard for me to look into those practitioners' eyes and not protect our community at scale. So thank you. We appreciate it, and we look forward to doing great things in order to accelerate Hillsborough. Thank you.